Hey guys, I'm back. So it's Tomi. I thought I'd create this video dedicated to my wedding. I've been getting tons and tons of questions regarding my wedding and the planning process. I know I didn't film it sort of during the planning because I just didn't know how it was going to plan out, and like I said in my previous video, I kind of wanted to keep it private. So I'm going to answer a majority of the questions that I feel will cover everything you guys are after, and so let's get into it. So I got proposed to in December 2024. We initially wanted to do the wedding in February of 26. I suppose the biggest things that the biggest priorities for us were our nieces and nephews. We have a lot of nieces and nephews. Both my husband and I were both Nigerian, by the way, and it was important that all of them were able to attend. So we kind of planned it based around their schedules and when they would be on half term, because we kind of just wanted the wedding to be centered around family. We're both very family oriented people, so that was the number one thing for us. So we spoke about venues. I got proposed to in Morocco, so we did think about Morocco as a destination to potentially have the white wedding. In fact, both the white and the traditional. But then again, we reassessed this decision, given that both are, although we are based in England, a lot of our family was still based in Nigeria, so we thought actually it'd be much easier if both families, and we were both the last of our family to get married, so it kind of made sense that Nigeria would be the hub for both our families to be reunited. So we kind of, after much thought, we had already engaged some wedding planners in Morocco. It got to a point where a lot of our family were like, they couldn't, particularly if you have kids, it's much more difficult and challenging transporting children to two countries and getting them out of school. So we thought actually, even if our wedding is based on the both of us, the actual celebration itself is about our family and bringing both our families together. And so we chose the easiest way our families could convene and get together and celebrate us, and that was Nigeria. Nigeria made the most sense for us, so we redirected our plan and we chose Nigeria to get married. But typically in Nigerian culture, it's the wife, the bride side, that owns the wedding and coordinates it, so it was natural that they did it in our hometown, which is Lagos. That's a really good question. What was much more difficult? I'd say the whole planning process was quite easy. Again, based on, we already had existing wedding planners in the family, and we had already had prior weddings from our siblings, so it wasn't as difficult. The coordination, I'd say the one that became the most difficult was probably more the coordination of the vendors. Both our families are quite easygoing, so we didn't get much resistance from the family side of things as much as we thought we were. That's not to say that there wasn't resistance, there was, but I think the vendor side caused a bit of more of a tension and a headache, I would say. How did we handle the budget? Funny enough, we handled the budget okay. Prior to us getting married, we knew that we had a couple of months to plan. We had almost a year and a half. My husband and I were both on the same page regarding how much we wanted to spend. So we're both financially conscious people, and so we had agreed a figure, and we also had a stretch budget. We were both on the same page in terms of like our financial principles and what we were prepared to do for the wedding and what we were not prepared to do for the wedding. So we weren't prepared to finance the wedding through debt, so we knew that we had to finance our wedding based on income, so income that we earned, and that meant whether we scale back on our existing spend now so that we're pouring more into the wedding. And so that's what we did. We just made sure that every income that we were getting, we were pouring it into our pot. We have Nigerian accounts as well, so that made it a lot easier. And whenever we got favorable rates from Lemfi, we would convert money and just keep money. We also, another thing that we did was we put our money into a high interest savings account. So the returns on that savings account, we were also using it for vendor deposits. So we were very conscious and mindful as to how we wanted to finance our wedding. We prioritized areas we were prepared to spend money on. It wasn't every area of our wedding that we were like, oh, we're just going to throw money into. The things that we felt needed budget, like more of the like financial weight, we poured money towards. So my husband is very particular about like photography and things like that, because he wanted it to last over time, because he knew that we were going to, these are pictures that we're going to use for our lifetime. It had to be a quality photographer. He's also a photographer, so he was pretty particular about the quality of photos and who we used as a photographer. I was more particular about the decor element because I'm such a style girl. You guys know me. I'm all about interior, the look and feel of something. So my priority was, I want people to have a great time. I wanted people to feel a certain way when they're in our space, similar to how they would feel if they were in our home. And so that's what I prioritize. That's what I put my budget towards. And I scaled back on areas such as like my outfits, because I just felt my style philosophy is, it's not about how much money you spend on an outfit. It's how you bring everything together. And ultimately that dictates how people perceive you. It's about the style itself and not how much you spend. So it wasn't too bad. What was the one thing about Nigerian logistics, wedding logistics, that surprised me? I think a lot of the hidden costs, I would say. Some of our vendors, I'd say like our food vendors and stuff, like let's say they quote like $1 million for something, right? There's like loads of hidden charges, and then all of a sudden you look at the invoice and like it's now like 1.8 because like of logistics, VAT, service charge and all this other stuff. But to be honest, that's not too surprising. You will find that everywhere, particularly if you get married in Europe. So we were just prepared. Based on all the stories that people had given us about planning a wedding. But yeah, I'd say that's the one thing that surprised us the most. Oh, I think in addition to that, I don't know if this is logistics, but on the wedding day, because we were quite particular with I'm firm with our wedding planner that we just didn't want too many vendors in the wedding. I just don't like vendors just all over the place, and so we were very particular about that. And we wanted as minimal media team and just videographers and photographers, because we wanted to have a no phone policy at first, but my mum was like, you guys are not serious. But yeah, that happened still. And to my surprise, there were more content creators than I actually thought. What we found out was every vendor had their content creator, and so they all just wanted to take pictures of us. So like when I see random pictures of online of ourselves, I'm like, who took these? Like I was so confused. So that's an expectation to manage, I guess. How did you manage the legal side, civil registration? Well, we got married here already, and we got married in a church in Nigeria, and so we had to go through a portal, particularly in Nigeria, if we wanted a Nigerian marriage certificate. And so you had to fill out your details through this portal, pay, but then you get ordained at the church, and the church will give you your marriage certificate after the vow ceremony. It was, as usual, when you're filling forms in Nigeria, it's just so long. Like you have affidavits and all these other things that you have to provide, passports, almost like just so many things, and so that was just a bit stressful, but we got through in the end. Another legal side that we didn't feel was going to shock us was our guests traveling in from abroad, and the visa application, that like visa, it actually cost quite a lot of money. I think it's like $200-300, and that was quite challenging. And all the letters that we had to draft and sign off, and it had to have a particular language. That was very, very stressful, and we kind of had to prep our guests that, and just to convince them that, oh my gosh, we just didn't think it was going to be this stressful and onerous. So I think that one you should tackle on time. Also tell your guests to prepare on time so that they're not ready for any surprises. And also choosing the right type of visa application also affects the process, including the jobs that they need to get. Did I feel pressure to do things the traditional way? I would say for the white wedding, yes. That's because I was doing something in Nigeria and I had a particular theme that we wanted to evoke in mind. The first theme I had in mind was an Oriental style theme. And then the second theme we had in mind, which is the one we ended up going for, was like a romantic Chateau Noir style French chateau, like, which is like a candle lit romantic style. But I'd never seen it done in Nigeria, and I wasn't sure how it was going to come out. And because this sort of romantic style typically has a dining style setup, I just didn't know how it was going to affect the ceremony, like the order in the ceremony. But we got a lot of assurance from our decorator, and in the end, like, my parents just gave in, and I was just like, look, you guys own the traditional, let us just trust us with the vision for the white wedding, and and we were very strict with the numbers. We were very strict in terms of the seating arrangements and the seating chart. The seating chart oh my gosh, it caused so much headache, guys. Like, that one was the one where we fought tooth and nail, but we got it in the end. We used Claude as like a guide and inspiration on how to plan like a seating chart and all of that good stuff. So we got that in the end. And we had to choose the right decorator for what we were trying to organize, and hence why Atanuda just came out on top, because they just got us, they were just the right fit. They're very used to sophisticated, classy, minimal design that is very thoughtful, so hence why they were just perfect. How did we handle guests traveling internationally? So we had a website, and we included details of hotels that guests could use, both our venues. So we used Lagos Oriental Hotel, the small ballroom, as well as Jewel Ada. They were both 10 minutes within distance of each other. So we chose hotel particularly around VI and Lekki, so it was easy for our guests to navigate. We gave them a list of hotels that we were familiar with. So we gave them The Art Lagos, Delbra. We gave them Lagos Oriental Hotel, Black Diamond. And then we had some of our friends who wanted to stay in an Airbnb. So we went to vet the Airbnb ourselves before we booked anything for our guests, and they were all around the venue. So that was pretty simple and easy. I think as long as you get as much support on ground as possible, you can do a lot of things from here, by the way. It is possible, but as long as you have someone on ground that can do the running around for you. And I know there's some either concierge services or people that help the diaspora to get things done that are prepared to do things for you, so you should look into that as well. We have a lot of family on ground, and we have a lot of friends. I'm very familiar with Lagos, like it's a second home for me, so it was quite easy for me actually. But in terms of like some of the vendors I worked with, I just found them on Instagram, and I kind of looked at what they had done and studied what they had done, and I based my judgment on that. Looking back, what's the one decision you're really glad you made and one thing you will do differently? Looking back, I am so happy that I did my wedding in Nigeria. It was the best decision I have ever made. I like destination weddings, but not as much as I like home weddings, and home weddings is like going back home. to be like with where your family and friends are. We're both Nigerian, I said it, and it was just so magical having all our families around, and it just felt, it was so healing. We also had our introduction. You know, we met so many amazing people. Just working with Nigerians as well, I got to really experience the Nigerian work ethic. I think I've said this previously. And just working with my own people and just seeing how they would go above and beyond. And even with how much you pay, they can stretch that money, and it can be a lot of things. And so you get more for your money out there, provided that you're prepared to overlook things that don't work. And there's a lot of noise. But you should be prepared to overlook that, because ultimately in the end you will have so much fun. You have such a good time. You have good vibes. I mean, I'm the sort of person that, well, it all depends the kind of person you are. I also overlook a lot of things, and I was just happy that to have all my friends and family. That I also was so happy to have my friends from here who live in the UK experience our culture and how rich it is. So that was a blessing for me. One thing I would do differently, I'm not sure if I do anything differently. Maybe I would say post the wedding, leave enough time to kind of, after the wedding I just left immediately, and there's so many things I forgot and I left. I wish I had stayed more to kind of process everything and then have time to give a lot of stuff away. I wish I did a lot of just giving things away and saying thank you to people in person. I think that was probably a massive regret for me. What's my best piece of advice for someone about to start this whole process? If you're in the engagement stage, give yourself time, give yourself a budget, be prepared to spend more. I'd say don't go into a marriage with debt. Both of you should start clean. Only do what you can handle. Don't go beyond your means. Define what beyond your means for you. I knew that above my means meant if I was suffering and I couldn't eat after, whereas that was way above my means. I wasn't prepared to do that with any wedding. I was prepared to have the wedding on my dreams, which meant that I was prepared to work really hard to get that. So that's something. And I was always communicating with my partner, my husband, like, is this okay? We were just both constantly checking with each other on what it is we wanted and what we could do without. And so it was very much a joint decision, and I'm so grateful for that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my video, and I hope I've answered all your questions. If there are any questions that I did not answer, please do leave them in the comments below, and I'll try my best to answer them in the comments. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and yeah, take care. Bye.